The film opens in darkness, pierced only by the flicker of flames and the twisted laugh of Freddy Krueger. From the shadows, Freddy's voice emerges. He speaks to the audience directly, narrating his torment. He recalls how he once fed on the fear of the children of Springwood, how their screams gave him power, until they took that all away. The townspeople erased him from history, and no one remembers Freddy Krueger anymore. As he walks through a burning boiler room, Freddy explains how powerless he's become. Without fear, without memory, he can't hurt anyone, especially in their dreams. But Freddy has a plan. He searched the depths of hell, and found someone, Jason. A killer who doesn't speak, doesn't feel, but only loves to slaughter. Freddy resurrects him, impersonating himself as Jason's mother, sending him back to Elm Street. If Jason can start the killing again, maybe the town will remember Freddy, maybe their fear will bring him back. The scene shifts to a peaceful night at 1428 Elm Street, the infamous Krueger house. A teenage girl named Lori and her friends are hanging out. Her best friends, Kia and Gib, tease each other in the lounge while Gib and her boyfriend sneak off to the bedroom upstairs. Later, Trey lies in bed after making out with Gib while she showers. Suddenly, Jason emerges from the shadows, and in a single brutal motion, Jason stabs Trey repeatedly, then folds the bed in half on him, crushing his body like a snapped twig. Gib walks out of the bathroom, seeing the blood pooling on the floor. Sirens fill the night, and police swarm the house. Lori, shaken and pale, tells the officers what little she saw. The trauma unlocks a faint memory buried deep inside her, the name Freddy. But the police quickly shut her down, as no one is allowed to speak Freddy's name. That's the town's rule, it's how they've kept him buried. That night, Lori dozes off at the police station and drifts into her first nightmare in years. She wanders through a dream version of her neighborhood, foggy and deserted. In the shadows, she sees Freddy, then wakes up. The next day, Will, Lori's old boyfriend, long gone from Springwood, watches a news report about the murder. He sees Lori's face flash on screen and is visibly shaken. We learn he's being held at Weston Hills Psychiatric Hospital, doped up on dream-suppressing drugs. When he and his friend Mark realize the killings have started again, they know it's time to escape, because they know who Freddy is, and know what's coming. The next day, Lori, Kia, and Gib meet with each other at school as they've barely slept. They mention the police reports, how Trey's death was ruled a freak accident, and how every official explanation seems to erase the violence they witnessed. Something is being covered up, they all feel it. As the tension builds, a familiar student named Charlie walks up. He offers his condolences to the girls, his face full of concern. Soon, Will shows up at their school and sees her for the first time in years. But before he can speak, Lori collapses. At Springwood General Hospital, Kia and Gib wait anxiously in the corridor. Suddenly, Kia dreams, and in the dream, Freddy appears. His grin cuts through the magazine and rips off her nose, forcing her to wake in a panic. That evening, a massive party kicks off in the middle of a remote cornfield. Teenagers flood in, music blares and beer flows. It's a temporary escape from fear, but it's also a perfect hunting ground. Lori, Kia, Charlie arrive. Tension simmers between them, especially as Will approaches Lori to explain himself. He tells Lori that his parents were murdered, and when he insisted Freddy was responsible, he was locked away at Weston Hills. Seeing her on the news convinced him that Freddy was coming for her too. Lori listens, shocked, as pieces are falling into place. Elsewhere, Gib, visibly drunk, wanders away from the party crowd. Disoriented and vulnerable, she stumbles through the cornfields alone. She sees Trey, her dead boyfriend, calling her. Drawn to the vision, she follows it into the tall stalks, stepping deeper into a twisted dream. Suddenly, she sees Freddy's silhouette and panics. She runs and hides in a rusty old locker. She holds her breath as Freddy's boots echo nearby. Back in the real world, Gib lies unconscious on the ground. A partygoer finds her. Drunk, disgusting, and opportunistic, he kneels beside her, taking advantage of her unconscious state. But before Freddy can kill her in the dream, Jason appears in reality. Without hesitation, he drives a pole through both their bodies, impaling them where they lie. Gib dies in both realms, stolen from Freddy before he could claim her. Furious, Freddy howls in the dream. Jason begins to stalk the crowd. Two loud teens mock him, mistaking him for someone in a costume. Jason twists one teen's head backward, breaking it cleanly. The second one runs, but Jason hurls his machete like a spear, impaling him mid-run. Panic spreads, as teenagers flee in all directions, trampling each other. But Jason moves through the chaos with brutal efficiency. Blood sprays against corn stalks. Lori and her remaining friends sprint through the field, their terror rising with every scream behind them. Jason isn't following Freddy's rules, he's killing everyone. After the cornfield massacre, a heavy silence settles as Will drives Kia back to her house. He then continues the drive with Lori, both numb from everything they've seen. Before she steps out of the van, Will hesitates. He tells Lori there's another reason he was sent to the psychiatric hospital. One night, years ago, he had snuck into her room. But before he could reach her window, he saw her father kill her mother. Lori is stunned. Before she can fully react, her father suddenly appears, pulling her from the van. He glares at Will and warns him to never come near Lori again. Back inside, Lori confronts her father. She demands the truth. But he dodges every question. Instead, he reaches for a bottle of sleeping pills, trying to coax her into resting. Lori doesn't buy it. She bolts into her room and climbs out her window. Moments later, she's back in Will's van, and they speed off into the night. They drive to Mark's house, knowing he might have the answers they need. Meanwhile, Mark sits alone, staring at a photo of his dead brother. A wave of sorrow passes over him. Suddenly, water runs, and he walks toward the bathroom, but no one is there. Suspicion creeps up his spine. He grabs his wakefulness pills, but they slip from his hand and scatter down the sink. Suddenly, his dead brother appears in the bathtub, but it's not him, it's Freddy. Outside, Lori and Will arrive but find the house locked. Inside, Mark is face to face with Freddy in his dream. Freddy leans in with a sinister grin and says he has a message for Mark to deliver. Flames burst across Mark's back as he screams in agony, and Will and Lori see burned words reading, "Freddy's back." The next day, the survivors gather in Charlie's basement. Soon, Deputy Scott also walks in and shares what he's uncovered. He tells them the legend of Jason, a boy who drowned at Camp Crystal Lake, whose mother was killed by counselors, and who now returns again and again to avenge her. They all connect the dots. Freddy brought Jason back. Freddy needed people to remember him, and if Jason scared the town enough, Freddy could feed on their fear, growing strong enough to kill in the real world again. They agree, they must not sleep. Will suggests going to Weston Hills, the psychiatric hospital, where they kept him drugged. The pills there will help keep them awake. They break into Weston Hills. Inside, they begin searching the corridors for the hypnosil. Meanwhile, Bill lingers behind for a smoke. Suddenly, a strange, leech-like creature crawls into the room. It puffs smoke with Bill, then slithers down his throat, instantly possessing him. Now under Freddy's control, he begins dumping the hypnosil down the drain. Charlie walks in alarmed and confused. Suddenly, Jason appears and attacks them, but gets electrocuted with Scott. Meanwhile, possessed Bill prepares a syringe filled with tranquilizer. He follows the plan, put Jason to sleep. Jason charges forward and Bill lunges and jabs the needles into his neck. Jason's blade swings down, slicing Bill's body in half, but the sedative works and Jason collapses. Inside Jason's dream, Freddy is waiting. Freddy taunts Jason, overwhelming him with speed, trickery, and sheer power. He slams him with machinery, slices his mind open with cruel laughter. But no matter what he does, Jason won't die. Then Freddy sees something, Jason's fear of water. He turns the environment into a torrent of flooding water, and Jason becomes a terrified little boy, cowering in the center. Back in the real world, Lori tells the group her plan. The only way to defeat Freddy is to bring him into the real world, where he's vulnerable. She volunteers to go under. She lies beside Jason's unconscious body and tells the group to wake her in 15 minutes. Inside the dream, Lori walks through Jason's memories, sees him as a child, tormented by bullies, drowning alone. Outside, Jason begins to stir. The 15-minute window hasn't passed, but he's waking. The group hides in a nearby abandoned cabin, as Jason searches for them. Meanwhile, Freddy traps Lori in another vision. He brings her back to the day her mother died, revealing the bloody truth. It wasn't her father who killed her mother, it was him. Suddenly, the cabin catches fire, flames raging all around. Lori's hand burns in reality and that triggers her to wake up. She wakes up screaming, dragging Freddy into the real world with her. The two killers finally come face to face, and they charge at each other and the two clash with raw, savage force. Freddy slashes wildly with his claws, fast and precise. Jason counters with brute strength, swinging his machete like a war axe. Freddy realizes quickly, in the real world, Jason is stronger. The battle takes them through walls, machinery, and into the construction site by Crystal Lake. Freddy adapts fast. He uses his intelligence to fight dirty, launching steel cables, hurling debris, slamming Jason with anything he can find. At one point, Freddy rains steel rods down on Jason, impaling him repeatedly. But yet again, Jason doesn't die. He pulls himself free, wounds pouring blood. Meanwhile, Will and Lori are desperately trying to escape. They steal a nearby boat and drift it toward the dock, hoping to use the water to put distance between them and the carnage. Freddy and Jason explode from the construction site, crashing down the hill toward the lake. Lori sees her chance, she pours gas on the walkway and ignites the propane tanks near the dock. An explosion rips through the air, engulfing both Freddy and Jason in flames. Will and Lori get out of the water, visibly relieved that their nightmare is over. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe for more notifications. Until next time. See you soon.